Hi, and welcome to Intuitive Insights. On this channel, we discuss everything to do with the Ascension process. I want to welcome back all of our subscribers, and I want to welcome anyone who's new. If this is your first time checking out our channel, I definitely recommend that you browse through our playlists after the video. We make videos on all different topics to do with the Ascension, so we have a little bit for everybody here. And without further ado, we're going to get right into the reading and see what comes up. This is going to be a general Ascension reading, so just kind of taking the temperature on where we're all at, what some of us might be going through in our ascension process, and some guidance on how to deal with that and how to move forward and navigate whatever it is that's coming up. We got a lot of energies going on, you guys. Like, June is going to be intense. So, we've got all these planets in retrograde. There's just so much happening. We have these 2 eclipses coming out. We're going to have all kinds of videos for you guys on all of this different stuff. Mercury is getting ready to go retrograde and join, Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto and Venus. Venus's retrograde will end this in June. So that's fantastic. But we got a lot of stuff to deal with. So I'm just figured it was a good idea to pull some cards and see what's going on. So what advice do we have for current ascension energies and how to navigate them? What's going on? Current ascension energies. Okay. All right, and I am using, for anyone who's curious, the Keepers of the Light deck. This is one of Kayla and my favorites here. So the first card that came out was Green Terra, Supreme Protection. You are protected, cords are being cut, move beyond limitation, and trust. And yeah, for a lot of people right now, this is just a really good reminder. As we are in this process, it can feel really stressful. It can feel really challenging. We're having all of this shadow stuff come up to deal with, all of these subconscious issues with all of these planets retrograde. And we're closing out a lot of karmic cycles as well. Personally, cycles that have to do with other individuals. And so, yeah, this is a reminder about that. I'm being drawn especially to the message of the cords being cut. So if there are some of you out there who have been asking and praying for that, or have been working on doing that yourself, like, that is working. And so it's just about just allowing that process to unfold. And so the important thing when we're cutting cords, right, is that we can have a cord be cut, but in order for that in order to maintain that, we have to not continue to engage in the behaviors and to engage with the individuals to whom we had those cords form in the first place. Anytime we interact with people, cords form. Sometimes they're of a positive nature. Sometimes they're of, I don't want to say a negative nature, but they're of a draining sort of nature. And so those are the ones a lot of times that we're looking to have cut, right? And so if we're continually thinking about the person, if we're reaching out to them, if we're have contact with them, energetic contact or absolutely like actual contact, then those cords reform all over again. And this is something that happened to me a lot in the beginning of my process, and still does sometimes when I ask for those cords to be cut, was that I continued with the person. And so they just formed back right all over again. And I would tell people, like, I just don't understand. It's like this process isn't working. Like, why am I still in this situation? Why am I still thinking about this person? Why is this going on? And it's because I didn't hold up my end of the bargain. So this is with anything ascension related, right? Or anything just spiritually related at all, right? Is like, we ask for help from our guides and we ask for help from our angels, but we have to be willing to do the work on our end too. So that's a message that's coming through, is just the fact that, like, we have to meet our guides and our angels halfway. We can't expect them to do everything for us, and we have to sort of hold up our end of the bargain with things. I talked about this in the video the other day, right? The whole, like, fate does exist, but it only gets you so far, and then you have to take action. And so that's true when it comes to stuff like cutting cords. When it comes to any of this stuff, is we can ask for the assistance, but then we have to take the steps ourselves. And it's also move beyond limitation is something that I'm feeling too. So I'm feeling for a lot of us where what we're doing is we're coming up against a lot of limiting beliefs, right? And some of these beliefs have crippled us our entire lives. And we may not even have realized some of the limiting beliefs that we had. Sometimes we don't even want to admit that we have certain limiting beliefs because we don't like to look at ourselves as the kind of person who would believe that kind of stuff about ourselves or about the world. But the first step in moving beyond those limiting beliefs is to acknowledge that they do exist within us, and that's okay. And they can exist within us even if we don't agree with them on a conscious level. So it's just moving through that process, and part of how we move beyond limitations is by doing the things that we're scared of doing anyway. And the more we do those things, the more comfortable we get with them, and the more we realize that we're way more capable than we thought we were. But yeah, for a lot of people, I'm feeling that a lot of those limiting beliefs are coming up. We talk about this when we talk about our life purpose and our life path, right? It's when we start getting close to that, when we get on that track, that's going to bring up a lot of these beliefs, and it's doing that for a reason, so that we can move through them and we can overcome them. So yes, that's coming up a lot as well. And just trusting and believing in yourself during that process. And just how do we learn how to believe in ourselves? By pushing our boundaries, by doing the things that make us uncomfortable, but we know feel right. And we know that we understand that we're being called to do, and just doing them anyway. By rewriting those stories, by just refusing to allow our actions to reflect those limiting beliefs. And eventually those limiting beliefs change. And then we have Hilarion, divine healing. Honor your sensitivity, retreat to recharge and heal. Your light can support others. And so this is kind of a dual message, right? Because it's saying retreat to recharge and heal, but then it's also telling you that your light can support others. But the key here is like your light can support others when you are supporting yourself, when you're supporting your own light by going within when you need to go within, by retreating when you need to retreat, by keeping your cup full. We talk about this a lot, right? Like we have to give from a full cup. If our cup, which is our energy, our life force, our joy, our bliss, our love for self, if that isn't full and overflowing already, then what we're giving is something that we really can't afford to give. We need that to be full for ourselves, and then what we do is we share the overflow with the world. And so just really keeping that firmly in our minds, as a lot of us are being activated and we're realizing that we want to help humanity and that we have this mission and that we were put here for a purpose, right? We get really into that for a while. And sometimes we do that to the detriment of ourselves. So it's just understanding how important it is to take care of ourselves first, and that's not a selfish thing. A lot of times in our culture, we're taught that is, especially for women, right? We're taught that we should care for others before ourselves, that we should put others' needs above our own. And sometimes we have to do that, but a lot of the time we really don't. Like there's a way, like we have to learn how to make sure that we're not neglecting ourselves in that process, basically. And there is a way to do that. There is a way to be of service to people, but also to be of service to ourselves. Because if we're not taking care of ourselves, eventually we're going to burn out, and then we're not helping anybody at all. Yeah, so that's what I'm getting for that. I'm also getting that a lot of us through this ascension process, we're becoming more and more sensitive, right? We're becoming more sensitive to vibration. We're becoming more sensitive to other people's emotions, to other people's just energy in general, right? And this can be sensitivity to all kinds of things. Like as we go through the ascension process, it's also like we realize how our bodies are sensitive to things that they weren't sensitive to before. It's noises seem louder sometimes. It's just everything. Our sensitivity to the world at large is just like expanding, and it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes. And that's also why it's important to always be retreating and recharging and taking care of ourselves during this process, as we're sort of getting accustomed to our new bodies. Our bodies are growing in light, like our light bodies are growing and expanding, and our physical bodies are trying to keep up. So it's just like really, really giving ourselves that rest too, just on a purely physical level. I've had to do a lot of that lately. I've been just so tired, and I've had to. And luckily, it's the beginning of summer right now. Like I live in New England, so it gets pretty cold here a lot of the year, and it's getting quite hot right now. And so, yeah, there's been a part of me, because we only get so much good weather, that feels like I should be out there doing stuff, and like I should be making more videos, and I should be, that do, go, 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 that very American mindset, right? And it's not just America, it's all over the world, but that kind of mindset, right? But I've needed to rest and I've needed to recharge, because we're just receiving so much right now, and it's my physical vessel just can't keep up. And so it's okay to take that time. And then we have Mercury, open communication. Get a weight off your chest, speak up with love, and be heard. And so this, to me, again, this just keeps coming up over and over and over again. It's like speaking our truth. It's just so important. And as we are growing and expanding, our truth and our understanding of the world and our understanding of our relationships evolves as our understanding of ourselves evolves, right? And so it's just always, and for this right now, I'm feeling more actually like being true to ourselves, acknowledging our own truth. And then when we do communicate that truth, just like doing so with love. We talk about this, it comes up all the time. It's so important. It's so important to be authentic, right? And to honor that truth as it's being uncovered. But also, like, in this process, with all these planets retrograde, with everything that's going on, like, our truth is going to be constantly subject to change. So we don't need to necessarily jump up every single time our view of something shifts and share it with everyone, and especially if we're try to convince other people of it. It's more like taking stock and just having that open communication of like what we're going through and what's going on. That's going to be especially important when it comes to relationships with Venus in retrograde, and all of that is just really keeping that open communication, even if it's just communicating like, I don't really know what I'm feeling right now. I'm just really confused. I'm really stressed. I need some space. I need some time. Like, that's still communication. We always think that we have to communicate when we know exactly what it is that we want to say, or we feel like we have something important to say. But sometimes it's really important just to let people know where we're at. And sometimes where we're at is like, I don't know. So that was coming through as well. But it's just for those of you who do have important things that you need to say to people right now, that is going to be important that you do, like with all of these, the retrograde planets, all of this stuff coming up, all of our subconscious material coming up, things that we just would sweep under the rug, like we're not going to be able to do that anymore. So if we are in a situation where we have been sweeping things under the rug for a really long time, there is something that's been weighing heavily on us that is affecting our spiritual condition, then we need to speak up about that. I'm definitely getting that message as well. And that's part of these soul lessons that we're going through. And as we're wrapping up these karmic cycles and doing all of that stuff, like that stuff is important. That stuff is absolutely important to communicate as well. And then we have Odin, psychic insight. Your third eye is open, see truth for what it is, follow your intuition. And so a lot of us, our third eye has been opening a lot lately. If you've been getting a lot of headaches, that's definitely a sign that the third eye is opening. I associate, when I hear the different tones of ringing, I associate that with my third eye opening as well. It's as I'm being opened to, I get the different clairs mixed up. Clairaudience, I believe, is when you hear the hearing, right? And then, I'm going to put my foot in my mouth if I try to the terminology, if you guys want to look that up. But it's our third eye is opening. We're starting to perceive things more. We're just having, whether it's like a knowing, or we're hearing the ringing, we're hearing different things, we're getting headaches, we're getting sinus pressure and stuff. Like, it's also allergy season, so I mean there could be that as well. It's not everything is Ascension related, although our allergies do tend to increase as we grow in sensitivity, like we were talking about before. So I mean it is and it's not, right? But yeah. So our third eye is opening. This is absolutely happening for so many of us. And this can be another thing that I found really interesting that I learned recently, was that anxiety can be a sign of the third eye opening. And when I think back of how this process that I've been going through as my third eye has opened more and more, my anxiety has been increasing steadily over the past couple of years. And I go through really huge bouts of that lately. So it's like a lot of this stuff just be aware that it's going on, and just once again, just be really gentle with yourself. Just be really kind with yourself. But know that as you're starting to get these little inklings and these little knowings about things, in those situations where all of a sudden you're not analyzing with the mind, but just a thought just kind of feels like it gets dropped into your awareness, or a realization, and there's something inside that resonates, and you just feel and you absolutely know that it's true. You do. It is. That is what happens as the third eye starts to open as well, and we get more connected with our intuition, is we have these downloads and these understandings and these realizations and just these deep knowings. And so learn to trust that. That message is really coming through, like, learn to trust that. When you feel that, learn to trust that. And the more you trust that, the more connected you get to your own intuition, and the more you're able to tap into that. It's a practice. It's a process. And the more we feed that process, the more we practice, the more we trust, the more we learn, and the more we know, and the deeper that relationship gets that we're forming with spirit and with our guides and with ourselves, really. And then Gaia Earth connection. Be mindful of the planet, come back to Earth, and stay grounded. So it can be really helpful as we're going through this ascension process, just to be out in nature, to really recharge through nature as well. We have an amazing opportunity to do that right now. And I know there's people that watch from all different countries, so I'm not sure what the weather is everywhere where you guys are, but for those who are watching from America, it's summer, so it's warm everywhere right now. Like, we have the opportunity to be able to go outside anywhere that we are, at least in this country, in a lot of other countries, and just be with the trees. Get your feet in the dirt. Connect with the ground. Really center. Imagine like those roots coming out of your feet, just rooting your energy down into the ground. Just connect with nature in every way. I've been doing a lot of, I call it hiking. It's really like frolicking in the woods. It's not like a serious hike, but just really going out and just being at one with nature, and just respecting and building that relationship with this planet. Like, this planet is ascending with us. We're all doing this together, or really, if we were to get technical about it, we are ascending with this planet. And so the deeper the relationship we can form with Mother Earth, with Gaia, the smoother this process is going to be, and the more connected we can be and feel to this process. So yeah, especially for those of us who our third eye is awakening, and we're feeling really up here a lot of the time, and we're meditating. A lot of us maybe are astral traveling, doing all this different stuff, right? Having these out-of-body experiences, communicating with different beings. Like, we really want to ground ourselves at the same time, because we need to ground our energy. It's really fun to do all that stuff. It's so amazing as we connect with our light family, our light lineage, all of that different stuff. But we are here incarnated on Earth for a reason. We are the transmitters, grounding this high vibrational energy into the Earth. We're also meant to be present here in these physical bodies. And so grounding is really important, and just going out to nature is out. You know what I'm trying to say. Out into nature is one of the easiest ways to do that. And then I'm just going to throw this out there again real quick, because the Holy Spirit expects miracles. And really what I'm getting from this is, remember that only love is real. It says that on there. That's really important. We have so much fear in the collective right now. The collective is going through a dark night of the soul. And so there's a lot of really heavy energy. So it's just always taking it back to the love, always taking it back to the love, always connecting in with that heart center, asking for assistance with that if we need, and just knowing that we're supported and that assistance is there, and not to try to force anything. Miracles are happening. They will continue to happen. We have such huge shifts going on right now. And like I said, June's going to be absolutely insane. But like, we don't have to direct any of that. We can allow Spirit to direct that, and we can just go along for the ride. And just taking those steps back, recharging, resting, regrouping. Like, that's our biggest responsibility right now, and everything else will work out as it works out. Okay, we're going to do an Isis card here. All right, Isis. Ascension, current Ascension energies. What are our viewers going through right now? Okay, so we have stay true and be in your power. So as situations come up, as the next card is truth is unveiled, right? So as these illusions, whether this is the truth just as our own intuition develops and truths are shown to us, truths about ourselves, truths about other situations, truths about our own perspectives, and as we're questioning our own belief systems and all of that, as inner truths are revealed, as outer truths are revealed, some of us have some situations going on with people who are not really quite on the level, who haven't been honest with us, where we're being challenged in these different situations. And at the end of the day, no matter what we're going through, we're being told, one, to trust our intuition and trust that knowing, like we talked about, right? And two, to be in our power, to stay true to ourselves and to be in our power. We're going to have a lot of situations coming up where people are going to try to get us to sort of co-sign their own version of reality, to coddle them, to, as we're growing spiritually, people are, and not even because out of like any malicious intent, but people are going to want to hold us back just because they like us the way that we are, right? They like us the way that we are. For some of you, there are people who have some type of power or authority over you, or you have perceived that they did, or they perceived that they did. And they got really comfortable with that, and you're going to be taking that power back, and they're really not going to like that. And so it's just knowing your own inner truth and standing firm in that. Understanding, like I said, we're learning all kinds of different things about us. So we talked about at the beginning of the video, like our truth is always expanding and changing. But allowing that process to unfold and not holding ourselves back from letting that process happen and the things that it's showing and revealing to us, because we know it's going to make other people uncomfortable. And when people do come up to us and they do attempt to disempower us, they do attempt to pull us back down to their level, just because that's where they're comfortable and that's where they're comfortable with us, it's going to be really important for us to find our own sense of inner power and authority, and for us to stand strong in that, and for us to learn how to take back our energy from people. I mean, we all do it to each other all the time. Like every time we interact with someone, it's a sharing of energy, right? And sometimes it's a really beautiful, beneficial sharing of energy. And sometimes it's a sharing of energy that feels draining, and it's not really consensual on our end, right? And so we're learning how to take that power back. We're learning to call our energy back. We're learning to shield our energy. And as we do that, it's going to leave some people just feeling some type of way. And so, yeah, just stand firm in your own knowing. Stand firm in your own knowing. Stand firm in your boundaries. Create those healthy boundaries and uphold those boundaries. The whole dance, as we're learning how to set boundaries, is sort of like the setting of the boundary is actually the easiest part, is what I found. What's harder than setting the boundary is maintaining the boundary. Because when we set boundaries with people we've never set boundaries with before, they don't expect us to keep them, so they're going to push us and they're going to test us and they're going to try to see, okay, how far can I take this? Okay, so you said this, but do you really mean this or do you really mean that? Like, what can I get out of you? And if they can't get what they want out of you, they're going to try to get a rise out of you, and they're going to try to poke you, and they're going to try to get you to react. So it's just staying cool and staying calm and staying firm in yourself and just trusting, as all of these, just really, we're learning how to trust ourselves right now, is what I'm feeling. We're really learning how to trust ourselves. And then we have the dark mysteries. Enter the chamber of the dark goddess. So I'm thinking immediately right off the bat, shadow work, right? But I'm actually going to read a little bit of this card and see what else it says, because it sounds very intriguing to me. Let's see. I don't know. You'd think that I forgot the alphabet or something sometimes when I look these up for you guys. It takes me a little while. Here we go. All right. The Dark Goddess calls you to her inner chamber where she holds a test and a gift for you. The test is your willingness to meet and release the fears within that have been secretly holding you back. The gift is freedom, peace, opportunity, and prosperity in all its forms. Will you accept her call? Your time for deeper initiation is here. When the Dark Goddess calls you, it is a life-changing experience. It is not always easy, but the rewards for those brave enough to answer her call and enter her inner chamber are tremendous indeed. The rewards are a life lived more fearlessly, the gift of loving and being just who you are in truth, without having to impress or bow to another out of fear of rejection. It is a more open and expansive way to live, and it attracts the bounty of the Dark Mother, her gifts of love, opportunity, peace, and prosperity, well-being, and wisdom. It takes a strong soul to go through this test and into the liberation it delivers, but you are ready, dear initiate of the light. The Dark Goddess calls you to initiation when you have been working on your own shadow, bringing your whole self to light. During such times, we often need help, as shadow work can be uncomfortable, painful, or just quite difficult to undertake, as we are working with unconscious material, trying to bring it into the light of our conscious awareness. Working with the shadow, the parts of us that we have deemed unlovable, or the parts that seem too marvelous to actually be us, requires courage. Ooh, that's interesting. I've never heard that before. The parts that seem too marvelous to actually be us, right? So I'm reminded of that quote where it says that it's our light, not our darkness, that we're most afraid of. The Dark Goddess will call you when your own shadow needs healing and integration, when something within is holding you back, when instead, if acknowledged and brought into the light of awareness, it could actually help you move forward. Often the shadow element that needs integration when the Dark Goddess is present is power in some form or another, which is interesting. We're talking about power, right? It may be personal power, spiritual power, or your relationship to power that needs to change for you to blossom and for life and its gifts to manifest more abundantly for you. Becoming more powerful does not necessarily mean gaining more force. More often, for advanced souls, it actually means surrendering our will into alignment with greater forces of divine will, allowing us to consciously participate in the flow of life, sensing the signs and nudges that lead us toward our greatest manifestation of soul this lifetime. Often when we are reclaiming our power and defining for ourselves what it is to be powerful, we are confronted with fears of loss, failure, abandonment, and rejection. It can be painful at times, but accepting and releasing the pain brings such deep relief and happiness to the self. It is good to confront these fears with a loving and firm approach and be open to taking risks and growing anyway. Yes. Yeah. So working on the shadow, working on the self, stepping more deeply into our power. Just those gifts that are available to us when we're willing to look at our darkness and to look at our light, right? Like sometimes the shadow isn't our darkness, like we were talking about. Sometimes it's our light. Sometimes it's almost like this belief of like, am I worthy enough? Or am I worthy, period, right? There is no such thing as worthy enough. We're either worthy or we're not. And we are. We are all by definition, just by existing, worthy. But we don't always feel that, right? So sometimes we feel that we're not worthy of the gifts. We're not worthy of our lights. We're not capable of stepping into that. It seems too great. And so that can be as much a legitimate fear as our darkness, right? And yeah, I tell people sometimes, people who are really good at seeing the darkness in themselves but aren't good at seeing the light, everything is balanced, right? It's the amount of darkness that we have is proportionate to the amount of light. Like if we feel that we are just submerged in this darkness, that means we have just as much capacity to be submerged in an equal amount of light. It's just allowing that light in, allowing that light to heal us, knowing that we're worthy of our light, that we're worthy of stepping into that we're worthy of this connection with spirit and of living in this new 5D earth, that we're worthy of ascending. So I guess I'm just feeling a lot of issues around worthiness coming up as well, around worthiness and stepping into our power. And then there's just so much creativity, right? So much creativity and abundance that is waiting for us when we do this, when we embrace our shadow, when we trust in the truths that are being revealed to us, when we trust in the spiritual truths that are being revealed, in those deep knowings that we have within ourselves as our intuition starts awakening. And we act on that, right? And we stand in our power, and we stand up for ourselves, and we call our light, and we claim our light, and we don't dim our light because it's making other people uncomfortable. We step into it, and by doing that, we invite them to step into their own light as well. And then we also have healing the divine masculine. So for a lot of you, a lot of us, we are healing that masculine side of ourselves as well, which is that side that does stand in their power, that knows how to stand firmly in our power in a way that's not dominating and controlling, but is sure and is confident and is gentle but firm. Gentle but firm. And that's how this creativity is born. This creativity, this is like the divine feminine. This is the feminine essence, the creativity, the abundance, right? And the masculine essence. In order for a creation to happen, both of these have to be in harmony. So I'm really feeling a lot of the balancing of those two, the masculine and the feminine, going on for a lot of us as well. And just what that looks like. And sometimes the way that process looks like is like we lean a little bit more into our feminine side, and then we realize that we're maybe allowing people to walk all over us. We're being a little bit more nurturing. We're not setting firm boundaries. And so we call on our masculine energy to come in and create those boundaries and give us that strength and that stamina. And then we allow that flow. If that gets too rigid, we allow that, we call in that feminine essence. We allow that creative flow to happen, right? And it's just, building on and learning how to utilize those two aspects of ourself in relationship to each other. Yeah. Yep, and then it's funny because I'm pretty sure the knot of Isis also has to do with divine feminine healing. So yeah, it's balancing out those two aspects of self. And where are we at? This actually hasn't been too long yet. So we're gonna grab a couple of these. This is the Secret Language of Light deck. And let's see what we have here. So, information on guidance. Sorry, I always accidentally cut off my head there. It's whatever. Information and guidance for this aspect of our ascension journey right now. What are we going through? What guidance do you have for us? Okay. So we have light beings. And so we are all light beings, right? We're realizing this. We're coming to understand this. And like we talked about, we're also connecting with our family of light. A lot of us are connecting with our family of light in the astral realms, in the other dimensions, through meditation, through channeling, through these different practices. And so they are absolutely there, and they're there to help us. They're there to guide us if we're willing to receive that assistance. And to receive that assistance, all we have to do is ask. All we have to do is ask and be open through that heart center. We connect through the heart center. We send the broadcast through the third eye, right? But we connect through the heart center, and we connect with feeling. I'm being guided to share something that I think is going to be helpful for people, that I heard the other day that really resonated with me, which is just when it comes to communicating with beings from other dimensions, it's really important to go by feeling. We recognize them by feeling. So just really, if we start communicating with other beings, noticing the way they feel, and that way we'll be able to recognize them, and we'll be able to recognize, because not all beings that we communicate with have our best interest at heart, but we can feel the energy of them. We can always ask if they're in service to the light. We can specify if we are sitting down and trying to communicate with these beings, we can specify beings in service to the light. And if we ever have a doubt, we can ask, and we can blow them away with love. We have complete autonomy over our energy at all times, right? So it's really important to really connect in that heart space, and to use that heart space as as sort of like the homing beacon that sort of taps you into the frequency of the beings that you're looking to connect with. So I think there may be a person or two watching this video who's into that and really delving into that, as I am right now as well. And so I wanted to share that for you. But yeah, it's just a reminder that all of these light beings are out there and they're watching over you and they're wanting to connect with you and just help you to remember that that's who and what you really are too, and helping us to step into our light, right? Like I'm reminded of, it's like the cosmic mind awakening. And it's the message that's coming through too is that there's a lot of information that you are receiving on a level beyond words. It's in that on that super conscious level, right? That cosmic mind level. And so a lot of these downloads and these light codes that are coming through, you are receiving, and you may not consciously realize that you're receiving them. But that's another thing. Sometimes when the ringing in my ears gets really intense, sometimes I realize that I'm receiving downloads and I'm receiving information. And even if I don't consciously, I'm not aware of what it is at the time, I just know that it's happening and that I'll be made aware and I'll be able to utilize that knowledge at the time that's right for me. But we are receiving so much right now, and we're just, it's kind of funny and it's kind of weird, right? But in order to help this cosmic mind open up, we have to allow that cosmic heart center to open up. We have to tap into that heart energy and let that love guide us. And that love just opens up everything for us. And it helps us to utilize all of these blessings that are being given to us, these light codes, these downloads and understandings. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot of all of that and just all the light beings that are out there helping us and assisting us at this time. And then we have create space. And so, I mean, this also, it just looks like light codes, right? Light codes coming through there. And I'm sorry, the lighting. I mean, I do the best I can. So you can't see the card as well as I can. I apologize for that because these are absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, what I'm seeing from this card right now is it's almost like a keyhole or something. And the light is just pouring out. So it's like the doors that are getting ready to open for you, that we are getting ready to open as we have this cosmic mind awakening, as we have this cosmic heart awakening, as we're ascending, right? It's just like that light. This is like the fifth dimension, right? And all of that light is just pouring into this dimension and just supporting us and nourishing us. And it's about allowing that process. And I'm just getting, and then it's funny because we have Nourish on the bottom of the deck, right? So I'm just getting this feeling of like really allowing ourselves to be nourished by that light. And once again, just getting that rest and creating that safe, sacred space wherever we can to receive and to just be and to take that time to recuperate, drink plenty of fluids, like care for and nourish our bodies, nourish our spirits, have that safe and sacred space that we can retreat to in order to recharge. That's what I'm really feeling as well, because there's just so much coming through. And it's, once again, I'm thinking the way this looked like a key, right? Like a keyhole to me, right? With the light pouring through, is like it's the heart center again. That is the key that unlocks that door. And then we have expansion, number 44. Yeah. So it's just we are growing, and our light bodies are expanding, our minds are expanding, our consciousness, our intuition, just everything is expanding right now. So it all just comes back to this nourishing. Just nourishing ourselves and caring for ourselves and nourishing the earth as well. Nourishing the earth as well. Yeah. Yeah, nourishing the earth as well. We have the Divine Feminine card at the bottom of the deck here, right? So it's just, we have the Divine Masculine and this is the Divine Feminine. So we're balancing those aspects of ourselves. We're really just sinking into that, like really what I'm seeing from this card right now is, once again, just that heart space. Just that heart space and how that's opening everything up. Like our hearts are just going through this massive awakening right now. And yeah, just the wellness, the caring for ourselves, the taking up practices that help us to center, help us to be calm, help us to integrate this card, I mean, the guy's doing yoga basically. So that can be a really great way, as well as connecting with nature for some of you, to ground your energy and to ground all of all of that light into the physical body. Like physical movement can really help to do that. So any way you guys want to physically move, dancing, yoga, anything can be really helpful. And then we also have soul writing. And what this is making me think of, this is the last card I wanted to pull, is automatic writing. This has come up for me, and it'll probably be useful for a lot of you guys as well. As you're working on your channeling abilities, as you're working on understanding a lot of the stuff that you're going through, maybe working on some of this shadow work stuff and trying to wrap our heads around like what the hell is going on with all of that, automatic writing can help with that. That can help us, you just sit down, on your laptop, grab a pen if you're more old school and you like to do it like that, and just start writing just about whatever comes into your mind, and just keep writing and just keep an even flow until it's almost like you're not trying to compose the words in your mind, they're just flowing out of you. And sometimes a lot of us receive channeled communication that way. That's the way that I do when I sit down and I meditate or something like that. Afterwards, I sit down and I do some automatic writing, and that's when stuff comes through, right? And sometimes it just helps for us to understand our own consciousness better. And when you're doing automatic writing, a cute little hack or a trick to keep going is when we get to that point where our mind starts engaging or we start being like, I don't know what to write, you just use a phrase to keep you going, like whatever the simple phrase is that you can insert so that the pen keeps moving or your fingers keep moving. It's just about trying to keep that flow going without breaking the concentration, even if it's just something simple like, I don't really know what to say, or what I really mean to say is, or whatever the little phrase is that keeps you writing. Just keep writing and keep it going. And I think that's what I'm getting for soul writing. I'll see if they say anything else here. But that's what I'm feeling for you guys. Oh, yeah, this is totally different. So I'll read this too. There's a reason I was called to read it, because there's another message in here as well. It says, we become the stories we tell. You are the author of your story. Write one that inspires you, and don't let anyone else command the pen. Physical reality is temporary. It is forever changing from one moment to the next. The events and experiences of your life are multidimensional living arts. Their purpose and form will shift as your perception of them does. You can view and adjust any stories from your past, present, or future. Let go of justifying or analyzing the events that become your stories, and lift yourself into a new way of seeing them. Look at the card and imagine you are the angel rising and connecting to the soul light at the top of the pyramid. Oh, where the hell was I? From this expanded view, you can see all your stories and their facets from a neutral position. A higher perspective will unveil and reveal what was previously unknown. You may be surprised, shocked, or embarrassed that the story you have identified with is not what you thought it was. Don't stress. This indicates that the stories are shaking loose and healing is occurring. You are doing so well, you are worthy, and you are loved. Yeah, and so this is like those realizations that are coming through, right? As we're beginning to understand things and we're beginning to see things and realize that everything was not quite what it seemed, right? As those truths are being unveiled. A lot of those truths are just in our own perceptions and misperceptions of things. And just coming to terms with that and not allowing our pride and our ego to cause us to not want to accept that or not want to look at that. And just like we all perceive from our level of understanding, right? It's like as we're healing and these old biases and these old wounds and these perspectives and these stories and these belief systems are shifting, like things are going to look a little bit different. And it doesn't mean that we were wrong before. It just means that what we were seeing was being heavily affected from the lens that we were viewing it through. And as we shift and we change the lens, what I'm thinking of right now is sort of like when you go to the eye doctor and they put those things and they're constantly flicking the different lenses, like, is one better or is two better? And sort of flipping you back and forth, right? It's like things look different. And so it's not like being hard on ourselves, or it's not about being frustrated with ourselves or judging ourselves. It's just about, okay, like, cool, I see now. Or, because that was true for us at the time, but now something else is true for us, and that's okay. And we don't have to hang on to those old narratives and those old stories. We can release those, and we can let those go, and it doesn't have to say anything about us or anything about anyone else. It just is what it is, and we can allow our perspective to shift, and we can just kind of like laugh at ourselves. It's all, don't judge. Let's not judge ourselves, right? Let's just laugh at ourselves, and let's just like look at the humor in the situation sometimes, right? And just, now we know, we didn't know what we didn't know, and now we know, and we move on from there. And I apologize. I live on a busy street, so what was that? Motorcycle, okay. I thought maybe somebody was firing up a lawnmower or something for a second. That would have been worse. It was just a bike. That's fine. We're just about done anyway. I think that pretty much wrapped it up. It's just allowing ourselves, just being kind and being compassionate with ourselves throughout this entire process. It always, always comes back to that. And just enjoying this journey and enjoying these fresh perspectives, and just looking at everything from that view of freshness and that awareness, and once again, like that heart space. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. I absolutely love every single one of you, as does Kayla. If you are struggling or you have some stuff going on that you'd like some clarity on, Kayla does amazing tarot sessions. I do tarot readings as well. We both do energy healings. I highly, highly recommend the Belvaspata. I do Reiki as well, and Kayla does divine energy healing. So I reach out for Reiki if that's more comfortable, because that's something that you're familiar with. But the Belvaspata is absolutely amazing, and I highly, highly recommend that. But we can start wherever you're comfortable. Just, it can really help to help shift the energy, and to just help us work through a lot of this stuff. Everything is energy, so we attack it on an energy level. Attack sounded vicious, but you know what I mean. We address it on an energetic level. We're clearing out that energy so much more efficiently than when we spend all this time in the head, right? And that can help with those clarities and those insights. And readings can definitely help with that as well, especially if there's specific situations that you guys are struggling with, or wanting some guidance on, or sort of a fresh approach or a fresh look at. So whichever one of us you resonate with, whoever you feel drawn to, our information's in the description box below. We also have a link to our PayPal. If you would like to donate to our channel, we absolutely appreciate that as well. But we just appreciate you all watching and enjoying these videos, and this whole community of amazing souls that we have here, just growing and learning together. So until next time.